this week's Parsha, amazingly, has in it, without even worrying about codes and gematriot, this is the Parsha Toldot, it's talking in the second chapter, chapter 26, about how in the days of Abraham, the Philistines, the old Palestinians, stopped up the wells of Abraham. It's the original terrorism act. And of course, they also, later it's going to say, they stopped up the wells again of Yitzhak. They tried to destroy his great work with the wells. But it says this directly in chapter 26. In these Pesukim where it's talking about that, there's even a better, more telling thing because of the fact that there are codes and gematriot which also back up this fact in this week's Parsha. And in fact, there are, as you can see on page number 2, there are 11 words which have the gematriot combined of 2016, namely this year. This week's Parsha, this week, that's what's happening in Eretz Yisroel, unfortunately. A horrible event by the Palestinians. Let's go weiter. So now we want to go back to the actual codes themselves that are here besides the 216. Oh, but on the 216, let me also remind you that the first word of the gematria group, those 11 words, which is 2016, has the first word, which is efer. Efer means dirt or dust. And if you look at pictures of the giant planes that they're using now to put out these fires that are burning many places in Eretz Yisroel, you see the word aether. There, aether means dust. There's red dust of this chemical substance that's being used to spread over on the fires to put them out. That's the word aether, starting our 2016 group. But now let's go back to the codes. So, going back to the first page, we have right away a code, and that code is not underlined at all. And it starts, actually ends, it's a backwards code, it ends with the hey on line number Yud Aleph. Line 11, the very last letter on that line, although really the pasuk continues, is the letter hey right next to the giant big Zion. The hey there is the hey of this code word, which is Hatzata. And that hey, the other hey, the bottom one, which is the starting of the code, is on line 12. So it's a hey, a tzadi, final tzadi, doesn't matter, a tav and a hey, spelling the word hatzata, which means what? It means arson. And in fact, this is listed in the legend that we have. If you go to page, correct, if you go to page number 3, you see it in the legend there. It's the first thing I wrote in the legend. Arson is coded with a 26 skip backwards, no underline. 26 is also Yud Kei Vav Kei, because who is allowing the Palestinians to do this? Well, Hashem is. Why is Hashem allowing them to do this? Well, I heard from Rabbi Glazerson and others that before him talk about this. Fires are caused by a desecration of the Shabbat. So that may be the spiritual reason, but still the Palestinians do not have any right whatsoever to be a shliach of Hashem to do this act. They may be acting that way unknowingly. They don't have any right to do this. They should not be hurting our people. What we have to do is do the Shabbat. But still, they have no right to be doing it. And anyway, let's go weiter on this from the Palestinian point of view. Why are the Palestinians doing this? Not, again, to be a shliach of Hashem necessarily. They're doing it because of the fact that they're angry at this time about many things, occupation of the land, as they say, and things like that, which is totally false. Told falsehoods, but also because there's a Muzaim now bill in the Congress, or I should say in the Knesset of this country, which Netanyahu is backing, talked about in the cabinet just the other day. And what is that bill? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. What is that bill about? It is a bill to silence, or at least mute, the loud speakers that they use for their what's called azan, which means their introduction to prayer or their call to prayer. When they do the call to prayer, usually in the olden days in a minaret, they stood in a little tower and they would scream out to the masses of Muslims around them that now's the time to come and pray to, in their case, Allah, right? But they don't have a right to do this with a loudspeaker because they're waking people up, including their own people, Christians, Jews, everyone in this land. They do this thing sometimes at 3 something in the morning, 4 something in the morning, or 5 in the morning, depending upon the time of the year, and it wakes people up. It's stealing people's sleep. And as we know from Judaism, and so certainly in Judaism, and should be in all cultures and all religions, and that is, don't be religious at other people's expense. When the Jews do Shabbat, we're not putting up loudspeakers to speak out Shabbat to everyone. So they could be yelling it from a minaret, but no loudspeaker. At any rate, not only is Hatzata there, but right near it you see the word Azan, which means the call to prayer. From the Arabic in Hebrew, it's called Azan. Some call it Adhan. It's a similar word, but in Turkey and countries like that, it is called Azan, and that's the way I got that. And it's actually here in the Parsha. Right here. So you see, I made it big letters now, really bold, big. Aleph, it's backwards. Aleph Zayin, Aleph Nun, not a final Nun. Okay, and you see that there coded right there, and it's only a 4-skip backwards. But beyond that, we also have another part. What is the bill of this muezzin trying to do? It's trying to quell the noise that's being done of this prayer on loudspeakers all around, of course, Israel, especially here in Yerushalayim, but all around Israel. And, by the way, what's noise in Hebrew? Rosh, like Rosh Gadol. We talk about that on Purim. We're supposed to make a Rosh. Right? We're supposed to make a noise with braggers. But now we're not talking about that noise, that's inside the shul. This is the noise they're making outside. Rosh. Rosh is spelled Resh Ayin Shin. It's there with a 1-skip as if the word is really there, but it's not. It's backwards and it's part of Sha'arim. That's on line number 12, if you want to point that out. Rosh, Resh Ayin Shin, big letters again. And the other Rosh we have is a 4-skip interspersed with this word Azan. So Azan makes noise. Perfect, except not perfect, because of this, and the bill is not passed yet, of course, in the Knesset, we hope it will, but they're doing fires because of this, because they say that Allah... Okay, we're back. We had a problem with the battery there, so sorry. Now, we have the word Ba'aretz. It's actually there on line number 12. It's not a code because it's mamash in the Torah. It means in the land. And it turns out that Tzadi, which made large, because it's part of the code Hatzata, which means arson. So the Palestinians are doing arson in our land, in the land of Israel. They're burning the land, they're burning property, they're burning crops, they're burning things, they're burning the land itself and wrecking it. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Now, there's another code here, 2 more codes I want to talk about. At least 2. We have the word nezek. The nun that's underlined, solid underline on the bottom of the page, goes through a zayin, goes through a kuf on the top, and that zayin was in the word azan, because why are they doing nezek, which means damage? They're doing damage because of the azan, because of that we are trying to silence, or at least mute a little bit, to turn down the volume of those loudspeakers when they're doing this call to prayer, because it's waking up people, destroying sleep of their people, our people, other people, lots of people. Okay, at any rate, that's nezek. Now, there's 2 more tones I want to talk about. One is tahom. It's there 3 times. I'm going to show you one of them. So the tahom word, if you look on, let's see, it's going to be the tahom word, right. The tahom word actually starts also from the tav, like the tzadi we just talked about in the word hatzata. This is the same word, hatzata arson. That tav, not underlined at all, but it's part of another code. And that other code is tahom. Tahom means deep. It's tav, hey, with a dotted, large dotted underline, correct? And then a vav with a large dotted underline on line 14, yud dalet, and then finally a final mem, even this one has the final mem, on line number 15. The other two do not have the final mem. So that's tahom. Why is tahom important? Because tahom means deep, but its gematria is 451, the same as Yishmael. Whenever we see tahom, we think Yishmael. It's also in the second pasuk of the Torah. V'ha'aretz hayta tovavo, v'choshek al pnei tahom. That's not here, but that means tahom, and that's before the asnachta, which means it's all the not-so-good stuff when the earth was unformed and void, right? And darkness was on the face of the deep. This is Yishmael. Yishmael, our buddies here, the Palestinians. Now, we'll continue, it's there 3 times, with one last code. It's very interesting because it's the name of a place, a village, a city, Moshad, whatever, that is burned. A lot of it is burned. People have to live in their houses. It's still burning fires there as we speak, I believe. At any rate, the place is called Neve Tzof. Neve is here from the Nun on line number, yes, on line number 14, and then the 2 Vavs, one on line number 15 and the other one on line number 17, actually part of our gematria group, and the hey to end up neve, forward code, is spelling neve. And then the other name of the city is with a 45 skip. That was a 51 skip. With a 45 skip, but crossing it is the word tzof. Neve tzof. So tzof crosses it at the first of those vowels we had before. So these are the codes that are there. It's amazing, amazing code, skips, and gematrios. And don't forget, the number or the year 2016 is coded right here also. So what it's telling us is, we, of course, as Jews, have to do effectively the Shabbat, but additionally, we have to do something about these people, Palestinians, who are trying to destroy our land. These are terrorists. It's as big of a terror act as it is when they knife or shoot or any of the things that they do. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video.